stepping foot into that desert, you have no idea what is waiting for you. I certainly didn't. So we'll start at day one.
Welcome to the Hard to Kill podcast, the official podcast of the Hard to Kill program, the world's leading program for driven individuals looking to gain direction and momentum, where we aim to break down the complex, multifaceted and holistic factors of human performance and optimization. Both on the program and on this podcast, we will be discussing and excavating everything pertaining to psychological resilience, physical robustness, and leading by example with discipline and tenacity to create a culture of winning, especially in the turbulent, frenetic, and high-tempo world of the ambitious individual. This is Marc, the creator, senior DS, and head coach of the Hard to Kill program. Let's get stuck straight into it.
Hello and welcome back to the Hard to Kill podcast. This is the first episode after having gone away, done and successfully completed the Marathon Des Sables. And in this episode, essentially what I want to run through is the event in a nutshell for a multitude of reasons. Firstly, to give anyone who has inspiration to go and do it a real behind the scenes look of what it takes, what's involved, how it goes down, so on and so forth. And secondly, just to kind of put it on record, what I learned from it, how it's grown me as a person and how it's definitely improved me as a human, as a leader, and as a coach. Now, if you're looking for the specific and tangible lessons that I took away from it, then you'd also value from visiting our YouTube channel. So if you check out Hard to Kill on YouTube, in there I think it was about a 20-minute video, and we basically run through 4 key lessons that I took away from that, as well as a couple of key wins. In this podcast episode, however, I pretty much just want to take the gloves off, relax, kick back, and talk about what is, to be sure, one of the single best experiences of my life. Now, I'm going to caveat that immediately and say it is absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, the hardest thing I have ever done. And I believe that statement will be true for so many people who have done the Marathon Des Sables. People, kind of regurgitate a statement like you don't know until you're there, you don't know until you've done it. But that's largely useless to those of you who are thinking about doing it or are inspired to do your own Herculean feat, challenge, undertaking, whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be the Marathon Des Sables. It can be your first 5K, it could be your first fucking Ironman, it could be your first ultra race, or it could be the Marathon Des Sables. Irrespective, I really want to talk about what it's actually like to set that goal, to reel it in, to go away, to do the thing, and then come back and reap the rewards, wear the medal, and live life as somebody who has gone through that process. So the first thing I'll say is, the Marathon Des Sables is so much harder than I thought it was going to be. As I said, I want to make sure it's at the front of your mind throughout this that it truly is a magnificent, a special, and a unique experience, but it is really fucking hard, and you have to respect it for what it is. I felt like my training leading up to the event was as appropriate and as thorough as it could have ever been. And when I was having a reflective conversation with Elizabeth Barnes, a 2-time MDS winner who gave me so much oversight and guidance in actually attacking my preparation for MDS, when we were having that conversation, I actually realized that we did, to the greatest extent, everything right. And that wasn't by accident. That was absolutely by design, because when I embarked upon that journey, when I put my neck on the line and said, you know what, I'm going to fucking do it, I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to start making myself accountable to that and putting it on social media and the YouTube and the podcast and all of these different channels and forums, I thought I need somebody who has been there, who has done it, and I'm happy and willing to invest in their time, their expertise, and their skills to ensure that I am really thinking about the unthinkable, that I'm really looking into the peripheries, and that, for want of a better phrase, as much as I hate this cringy fucking quote, I'm leaving no stone unturned. Now, as a result, I really do feel like we got so much right, but even still, stepping in foot into that desert, you have no idea what is waiting for you. I certainly didn't. So we'll start at day one. Day one, the second we saw the route, which only happens, by the way, when you actually get on the coach from the airport out into the desert, you do not know what's awaiting for you until that moment, and then you're presented with your road book. Day one already had us on the back foot. In MDS sort of tradition, classically, the first day is seen as somewhat of a warm-up. It's roughly 28 to 30K. And there we were straight away looking at 36K. Now, to many of you, to runners and people who understand distances and so on and so forth, think 6K, what the fuck are you moaning about? When you get in that environment and in that terrain, and this year with that heat, that 6K stands for an extra 2 or 3 hours out there in the baking sun, just fucking digging in and essentially suffering. So day one, we tip up and it's 36K. I'm going to be totally honest and transparent, not just now, but through the entirety of this podcast, and say, standing on that start line, in fact, waking up that morning, in fact, going to sleep the night before, I was truly fucking terrified. I'll go on record as saying I didn't drink a single coffee until the night of day 5 because nervous energy and adrenaline was coursing through my veins to the extent where I needed no further stimulation. But especially waking up on the morning of day 1, there is a palpable energy around the camp, around the bivouac. Everyone's exchanging knowing glances and sideways looks, and you can just tell there's a palpable energy of everyone's like, what's going to happen? What's this going to be like? We're about to start. Standing on the start line, many of you who have watched videos of Marathon Des Sables will know that on the start line every morning there's a speech from Patrick, who is the race director, and then they play Highway to Hell by AC/DC as you cross that finish line. Now I'll hold my hands up, and I'm guilty of saying when I watched that on YouTube and on other people's Instagram stories, thought how fucking cliche, how fucking cheesy. Just let's fucking get on with it. But honestly, when you're standing there on that start line and the music starts to play, and we were 2 people deep from the front, so we were really quite close to the front, I got goosebumps. There were people around me, overcome by the emotion and the significance of the moment that was unfolding in front of them. There were tears, there was nervous anticipation. I got goosebumps. It really is one of the most special moments, and I'll remember that unless I get Alzheimer's until the day I die. It was unlike anything I'd ever experienced, and there was just a wash with anticipation, with excitement, and if I'm honest, sort of performance anxiety, like what is it that's actually waiting for me? First checkpoint, we did as many people do, and you think, yeah, this is all good. Like the temperature's not too hot yet. Yeah, my kit's feeling really heavy because it's day 1, so I'm fully laden down with water, food, kit and equipment and supplies. So it came in around about 25 pounds all in, but you thought, well, we'll have a little bit of a run. That did not last for very long, and the smart people immediately made a change to the plan when they got to checkpoint 1, day 1. The heat in the Sahara Desert this year especially, but generally as a statement, is unlike anything I have ever experienced. So we went into the heat chamber, and we were in the heat chamber for 5 90-minute sessions, whereby we basically try and get my core temperature from between 38 and 39 degrees, because that's the sweet spot for your body to make the adaptations to acclimate you to the heat. Your sweat rate increases, and I think mine increased from around about 800 milliliters per hour to up to 2 liters per hour. And that's essentially your body's intercooling. Your body is cooling itself down. It's so wonderfully efficient at learning how to do these things. But as a result of that, if you're sweating out 2 liters, you also need a minimum of 2 liters plus electrolytes and salts going in to be able to maintain that. That is easier said than done when you've got to carry all of that water, and when you're in the hottest desert on earth. And as a freak occurrence, there was a heat wave in the Sahara Desert this year. So day 1, we were experiencing temperatures in the mid 40s, and that was the lowest temperature we got all week, mid 40 degrees. It was unlike anything I'd ever experienced. And I arrived at checkpoint 1, day 1. I think it was about 12 kilometers to the first checkpoint. All of that was in our road book. And the second I actually stopped running or sort of shuffling, it hit me. It hit me like a fucking train. I was lightheaded. I was dizzy. I basically needed to take a knee. But you have to be very, very, very careful in those situations for 2 reasons. Number 1, obviously, you don't want to come to harm. You don't want to be medically withdrawn early in the race. And number 2, closely married to that, there are staff known as dock trotters who are constantly manning the checkpoints to make sure they spot any difficulties, any people going down with heat exhaustion, so on and so forth. And that was a bit of a wake-up call. The first checkpoint of day 1, I was already fucking away with the fairies. And I thought, you know what? I need to be smart here. I've been presented with new information. The mission has now changed. It's no longer about being a fucking Superman. It's about just being a man and just getting to next checkpoint day by day. Day 1 was ferocious, and I can speak for pretty much everyone in my tent. When we got to our tent at the end of day 1, 6 or 7 hours later, and we just kind of sat there like we'd just gone 12 rounds. Like we really had to be given an absolute kick in, not least by the terrain, but secondly by the heat. And one of our tent on that night, in fact, was already aggressively vomiting with the early signs of heat exhaustion and heat stroke. Fortunately, he pulled through. He was absolutely fine. We got into the medical tent. He got some anti-sickness tablets and a load of water down him, and it was absolutely fine. But I can palpably remember on the night of day 1 thinking, holy fucking shit, like I don't know if I've got the minerals to go the distance here. It really was soul searching from the earliest moment in that experience as to whether or not I could actually do this. And I think that's a really, really valuable thing to go through as a human, to be faced with something you're not sure if you can do, and then actually just see what happens if you're able to continue. And that is so much of why I actually wanted to do the Marathon Des Sables. I wanted to be in an environment and do a challenge that was so massive, that was so intimidating and so hard that I didn't know if I was going to be able to do it, because therein lied the value. I was going to have to put my back against the wall and see what it is I'm truly capable of when I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it or not. But as was a recurring theme throughout that week, it was simply a case of looking to those around you and thinking, well, they're doing it and their body's the same as mine and they've trained the same as me and they've prepared the same as me. So what is it that's making me feel like I can't do it? And you very quickly come to the realization it's all in the top 2 inches. It is all psychological. It is a fear of suffering. It is not wanting to go back through that. It is knowing what is waiting for you and having to find the courage somewhere to go and face it and do it again and again and again. And when you're able to actually surrender to that and say, well, the course is what it is. It's as hard as it is, but I trust myself. I trust my body and I trust my training, then ultimately, if you can get yourself to that start line, your body will do unbelievable things. In fact, to say it's unbelievable is a discredit to the human body, because it is believable. I now believe it after having done it, after having seen it and experienced it, but simply incredible things if you can just find the resilience and the perseverance and surrender to it just to get to that start line. So the morning of day 2, we all sort of thought, right, it's a shorter course today. I think it was circa 32 kilometers. So, 4K less. But then if you looked in this fine print, the elevation profile of that day was truly monumental, including summiting one of the largest jebels in the Sahara Desert. Now, a jebel is essentially a local word for a mountain. I think it came in a few hundred meters, but what added to the spice here was the fact that at that point we'd been given the information we were experiencing a heat wave in the Sahara, so it was going to be hotter again on day 2 than it was on day 1. And secondly, climbing a mountain roughly the size of like Blencathra, it is hard enough undertaking on its own, especially when you've got kit with you and you've got limited water and limited food and you're not sleeping very well and there was a sandstorm the night before. But add to that elevation and undulation that the mountain, the jebel, is made of fucking sand and it's basically like climbing an enormous sand dune, then you really begin to understand how challenging it was. And unfortunately, over 100 people, so well in excess of 10% of the pack, were withdrawn, did not finish, or were medically prevented from continuing after day 2. It really was that tough. So we were 2 days in and we already had surpassed the average dropout rate for the MDS over 37 years. It was pretty fucking savage. One of our tent, an incredible guy who won't mind me naming him, Dan, came into some real difficulties and real challenges on day 2 and actually had to perform pretty much life-saving actions on a runner that he found on the course, including pressing his SOS beacon. So he was very close to the cutoff time. And seeing what happened to him and how he was able to turn that around on the night of day 2 gave me so much inspiration, so much fucking hope for what is truly capable, what the human body, the human mind, the humankind is truly capable of. Because he won't mind me telling, when he came in, he was a broken man. I think I remember saying to him, I said, Dan, what do you need to do for you, mate? And that's the importance of having good tent mates, by the way, because the same was said to me many times. What do you need to do for us? And he said, just don't fucking speak to me. He was really in the locker there. But he did his drills, he got his salt tablets in, he got his water in, he got his food in. And the next day, I think he beat all but one of us back into the tent. So the next day, day 3, was another, I think, 34 kilometers, another fiercely aggressive course, another ferociously hot day. And he fucking beat every single one of us back because of the power of his own mind. He knew what he was doing it for. He was raising money for Walking with the Wounded. And he was also there, to prove to himself, to his family, of what their leader, what their father is capable of. And fuck me, did he prove it. And to this day, and probably for the rest of my life, I don't know if I'll ever be more impressed, surprised, taken aback, shocked, or in awe of a human being being able to turn it around on such a sixpence. It truly was unlike anything I've ever seen. And I believe that also feeds into the majesty and the mystery and the magic that is the Marathon des Sables, because you're just seeing human beings do what human beings are really capable of, which is a sight to behold. So, hats off to you, Dan. Day 3 was a much flatter day. It was a much faster day, but owing to the heat wave, it was hotter yet again. And I believe another few dozen people, unfortunately, were medically withdrawn or did not make the finish line. Whenever you go to the Marathon des Sables, though, there's one day that people have the most anxiety, trepidation, and anticipation of, and that is day 4. It is the long stage, and it's called so for good reason. This year, we had the second longest long stage in Marathon des Sables history, and 37 years of it running, or 37 editions, should I say, of it running. And it was 90 kilometers. So to undertake a 90 kilometer ultra marathon at the best of times is a somewhat Herculean feat. And bear in mind, in my training, the furthest I'd ever gone was 50 kilometers. But my training had focused specifically less on single endeavors and single long days and much more about repeatability. For a period of months, I was always training on tired legs. And it might have only been 10Ks, 20Ks. There was a couple of weekends where I did 35Ks back to back. But ultimately, the whole piece was getting used to having to motivate yourself, having to operate and being able to perform on very tired legs and a strained mind and set of emotions. And that is what prepared me a little bit for the long day, but nothing prepares you for the long day. There's the same amount of nerves, trepidation, and anticipation on that start line, and you're given 36 hours as a maximum upper limit to complete 90 kilometers. Everyone has a game plan going into the long stage. I did, unfortunately, through the training, but I think honestly, more so through the people I had around me, I was able to actually impose my will on the course, and I was able to complete the game plan. Throughout the 90-kilometer long stage, obviously a lot of it you're going to be doing at night, but that's actually a blessing in disguise, because although navigation's harder, although morale seems to leave you a little bit more at night, although you begin to hallucinate and do all sorts of funky shit as a result of 4 days of real exertion, heat exhaustion, malnutrition, sleep deprivation, dehydration, the people around you really do pull you through. And I'm phenomenally grateful. I'll forever be grateful and appreciative of the men that were in tent 78 alongside me, because they pretty much pull you through. And I cannot imagine how much more challenging it would have been if I were to do it in isolation. So unfortunately, just after checkpoint 2, one of our number was medically evacuated from the course. Fantastic guy, immensely fit, fitter than I was. And it was just almost a case of complete fucking bad luck. Succumbed to heat exhaustion under a tree that we were taking respite in before going back over the Jebel for the second time. And he was taken away on a helicopter. And that for us was for many of us the first time we really got to be scared by the event, because even though days 1, 2, and 3, yes, they were extraordinarily challenging beyond what I could ever even articulate, there was still very much a mindset of we're attacking it and let's see how well we can do and let's really, really push. Unfortunately, when we saw Mick come to the almost harm that he did, many of us realized right now that we're doing this in honor of Mick. We all owe it to him to get round, and we all want to ensure that we get round. We all want to operate as a unit, as a tight-knit team. It then very much became a case of, right, how can we find a way to enjoy this? How can we find a way to stay safe? And how can we find a way to get around? Because owing to the toughness and the length of the course, owing to the freak heat wave, for many people, it became a case now of like just getting around as opposed to pushing and really trying to race, quote unquote, which is an enormous shift in your psychology and actually becomes somewhat more challenging because it feels like it's no longer in your control. You want so much to just push and to speed up because you want to get the event over and done with. But to do that is borderline suicidal because of how oppressive the heat was. And the sand dunes on day 4 were in the mid 50s. Mid 50 degrees centigrade is the temperature at which you can slow cook beef. It is truly catastrophic for the human body. The weight of the sun is oppressive. But the thing is, you're not even sweating. Well, you're sweating a couple of liters per hour, but the humidity was as low as 4% in places. So you weren't even wet at any point. The heat was absolutely beating and bearing down on you. So when it began to cool down, it was just unlike anything you ever felt. When you start to feel the breeze, it starts to cool down to sort of the mid to early 30s. That was the opportunity for us all to really push the dial and turn the screw. One of the best things about the long stage I found was because the pack was so spread and people are crossing the finish line for around about a 12-hour period, if not a little bit longer, is you meet so many fascinating people. I bumped into countless dozens of people who had fascinating careers and wonderful stories and were able to just pick you up. And you kind of oscillated between needing to be on your own, maybe putting the headphones in and visiting the cinema of your life versus just being around people, speaking, laughing, joking, and trying to keep the morale high. I went a couple of checkpoints on my own, so roughly 20, 30 kilometers on my own. And I can't speak to how beautiful the Marathon Des Sables is when you're on your own at night. And I had my headphones in. I was listening to, I think, Dire Straits at one point, and I looked up and the sky is just expansive and enormous. And it is a little bit scary at times because it's very, very hard to navigate it through sand dunes in the dark on your own, not least because obviously they're undulating. So when you get to the top of a sand dune, you can see the small reflective patches that are dotted every few hundred yards to lead you through the night. When you're at the bottom of a sand dune, you don't have the liberty and luxury of seeing those. So if you were to be disorientated, if you were to fall over and get up and not know which way you're going, it's actually a little bit fucking scary. And I, for one, was a bit like, shit, I really hope I don't get lost here. That would be fucking embarrassing. But as we pushed through the night, I made a mental bargain with myself. I was constantly pursuing Dan, who I spoke about earlier in this episode, who had absolutely turned it around in a sixpence and was playing a fucking blinder on the course. I was constantly pursuing him. And fortunately, we had a photographer on the course, a guy called Matt, who created some incredible imagery for us and also helped to give us information about what the temperature was going to be like the next day. Every time I got to a checkpoint, he was there and he was saying, mate, Dan just left. You're about half an hour behind him. So I was pushing and pushing and pushing, but I made myself a promise at checkpoint 5, which I believe was around 60 kilometers in. I'm going to put a coffee on. I'm going to put my feet up. I'm going to have 20 minutes to myself. And then lo and behold, who did I hear other than fucking the dulcet tones of Mr. Brian Wood, aka Woody, coming through the checkpoint gate, proclaiming something about being the absolute governor, which is a bit of a quotation of his, a bit of a fucking line. And I cannot speak highly enough of how much my morale went through the fucking roof, because I went from sort of just shuffling about, aching, creaking with blistered feet, swollen knees, and all that good stuff, trying desperately to make a coffee with my shit little fuel blocks on my fucking stove and a contact coffee bag. I went from that to then all of a sudden Woody came in and your endorphins just go through the roof. And it was like a hummingbird feeder. After him and I connected, there were people coming in left, right, and center, and all of Tent 78 and a couple of waifs and strays who had made very good friends with throughout the week as well, agglomerated in one spot, shared some food, had a coffee, and it was just an immense moment that, again, I will remember for the rest of my life. And if you're thinking about doing the Marathon Des Sables or long stage, multi-day races or endurance events, I cannot speak enough of how just how much of an important human that experience that is, to have drawn strength from others, to see others who are going through the same hardship of you with the same common goal, and it's a mutual suffering, and be able to laugh and joke in that. And I have to say, if I'm truly honest, there are a few Americans cutting about from whom we drew enormous morale and had great conversation, but the true stiff upper lip, the true spirit of British camaraderie and the ability to have a fucking cup of tea, have a bit of food and laugh at one another truly does pull you through in moments like that. So from checkpoint 5, we then headed to checkpoint 6, obviously. And what I can specifically remember of that is we'd sort of just automatically created something like a squad. We were in ranks of 2 and we were making best progress across the sand dunes in the dark. And it was about 13 kilometers in the next checkpoint. And I can remember we were all head down, not talking, just taking comfort from the fact there was other men around us. And I remember thinking, right, we're really fucking pushing now. We're really going after it. We were running the flats and then we were sort of shuffling up. And I thought, right, we must be making absolute fucking progress now. For any of you who have a Garmin, you'll know that every sort of mile, it bleeps and it tells you what your pace was for that mile. I remember hearing the bleep going off, looking down and realizing despite our very best effort, we just cracked out a 20-minute mile. That speaks to the level of exhaustion that you're operating with when you think you're giving an absolute RPE 8 and you're really going for it and really moving your legs as fast as you can. It speaks to how tough and undulating it is to run up and over sand dunes continuously, that the very best we could muster in that moment was a 20-minute mile. And I had to resist then my ass falling out and my head dropping off. And the only way I did that, honestly, was thinking about nothing other than a checkpoint and the men around me. So we arrived at checkpoint 6, and between 6 and 7 was very much the same. It was putting our feet up for 5 minutes, letting the blood come out of our feet, allowing the knees to just calm down a little bit, and then pushing on and pushing on and pushing on until eventually we arrive at checkpoint 7, the penultimate checkpoint. Now, by the time we got there, everyone's in a bad state of repair. You know, we'd been going for about 21 hours at that point in time. Everyone's feet are in fucking tatters. Jack's feet were absolutely obliterated. Mine had blistered really pretty aggressively. Everyone was suffering. Everyone was in the locker in some way, shape or form. I went to the medical tent at checkpoint 7. I said, mate, can you please look at my feet? They're just in a really, really bad way. To which he responded, and I'm not going to do a French accent and ruin it and become borderline racist. I'm not going to do a French accent. He said, mate, you've got 6 kilometers to the finish line. I'm not looking at them now. Fucking get yourself in and we'll deal with you then. Because if you get them shoes off, they're probably not going to go back on again. So you've just got to get yourself there. That was the lowest point of the entire race for me. I fully spat my dummy out, not at him, but I had to have a real long, hard fucking look at the imaginary mirror. I had to really dig deep and really fucking go into my soul about, am I going to be able to do this? And what is it going to take for me to get across this next 6 kilometers? And again, listening to this as a runner, if you are a runner, should I say, if you're an endurance athlete, think 6 kilometers, that's nothing. You fucking do that in half an hour. But again, on that level of fatigue, over that terrain, it's going to be hours. It's going to be a good couple of hours. And for us, I do think it took us 2 hours to cover that distance. So I went over to the lads in the tent, and Woody had got his kit back on, doing the absolute epitome of the right thing, taking a position of command and control and leadership and inspiring others in that moment. He said, lads, the sun's going to come up. It's only going to get hotter. Let's crack on. Me having an absolute fucking bottom lip out moment, said, mate, I'm having 5 minutes. To which Woody replied, mate, we've got to go. I was like, I'm fucking having 5. And in that moment, we all kind of understood the gravity of the situation. We all understood what task was ahead of us. So it was kit on and just fucking nose to the grindstone and get stuck in. One of the other most special things about the Marathon des Sables is just the scenery. Like you almost cannot comprehend the contrast between the orange of the sand and the pure blue of the sky, and just how hot the sun is. And a moment that again will stay with me for the rest of my life is moving from checkpoint 7 to the finish line. The sun started to come up, and you cannot believe how quickly the sun comes up in that area of the world. We had a large rocky outcrop in front of us, maybe 5 kilometers away. And from the sun peaking over that to actually being fully in the sky was less than 3 minutes. And with it, it was quite literally like opening the oven door. The heat is just on you straight away. But again, as a team, bit of banter, bit of fucking morale, got around one another, and we just cracked on. Dan was kind enough to lend me his poles for a little bit, which took some of the pressure off my feet. And before we knew it, we were up to sort of full pace again. And that's one thing that's probably pretty unique to all, really aggressive ultra endurance events, and certainly Marathon des Sables, is the fact that running into a checkpoint, you'll be moving at best pace. Once you stop for a couple of minutes and you've taken the blood out of your feet and, you've kind of just laid down or sat down for a moment, when you get up, it probably takes you the best part of 10 minutes to get back to that pace, because, the blisters are kind of resettling again. The blood's back in your feet. The knees are aching and creaking. And once you're in proportion, once you've created locomotion, you're generally okay and good to go. And it's a constant battle between managing the fatigue and potential injury risk and blisters, and also ensuring that you're getting the job done and you're covering the appropriate amount of distance. So we crested a sand dune, and there it was, almost like an oasis in front of us was the finish line. Now, what I will say is the organizers and the people who create the course of the Marathon des Sables must have a PhD in being fucking bastards, because they are brilliant. They're ingenious in concocting a final leg towards all of the finish lines that is just soul destroying. Sometimes they'll bury it right in between multiple dunes, so that when you're looking on your GPS about how far you've come and how far you've got to go, you just can't comprehend that it would be just over the next dune. Other times they're very good at peaking a dune and having such a long, flat, unrelenting straight where you're getting baked alive before you actually get in. And that was definitely the case with the finish line on the long stage. I think it was about 1.5 kilometers to actually get in, and it was just a long straight. And it was one of those, it was almost like, if any of you have seen the Monty Python movies where he's running towards the castle, you look down, you dig in, you're moving as fast as you feel that you can in that moment, you look up and the finish line has just not fucking moved. It is absolutely soul destroying. But again, in those moments, you learn so much about yourself, and you practice all of the mental skills that we talk about, we educate people on, and we practice and preach inside the Hard to Kill program of segmenting, breaking it down. And in those moments, you're not even breaking it down into the next kilometer or the next checkpoint. You're literally breaking it down into like step by step. Can I take that step? Can I take that step? Can I take that step? And that is pretty much how you get through. There are times when you need to associate with the pain, and you need to really think about, how am I feeling? Like, do I need to hydrate? Do I need more salt tablets? Do I need to pull the pace back? Do I need to eat? And there's other times where you need to completely dissociate. You need to turn the brain off. You need to come up with a mental image. You need to come up with music, or need to come up with a mental cinema, something to distract you, to uncouple your mind from your body, to remove yourself from that environment psychologically, and just allow your body to do what it does. As we were pushing towards that finish line, there were a couple of Frenchmen who would love nothing more than to get one over in the Brits, and they actually started jogging behind us in order to try and overtake us about 800 meters from the finish line. If any of you saw the finish line footage, you'll see that we were in an extended line and we sprinted across the finish line. That was for no reason other than we would not accept being fucking beaten in that moment. We did not push that hard for that long to get overtaken on the fucking home straight. So we literally formed an extended line and we said, lads, he's coming for us. Are we going to get fucking beaten? Fuck that. So we started having a bit of a jogging away, thinking that'll break his spirits. We turned around, he's fucking sped up. So Woody barked the order, lads, fucking dig in, let's get a run on. And that was one of the most special moments of my life, being able to sprint across the finish line of the long stage of the MDS in an extended line and just fucking bring it home for tea and medals. You get across the finish line and you're offered some Moroccan sweet tea, which is like actual fucking crack. It's basically like a Moroccan minty tea that is absolutely loaded with sugar. And I'm pretty confident the purpose of that is to give you just enough energy to be able to get across the bivouac to your tent and collapse in it. Because not only have you just done the 90K or however long that phase was, then then also load you up with like 6-7 kilos of water and send you on your way. And our tent was right at the opposite side of the camp, which is a pretty long walk when you're absolutely fucking destitute. But nevertheless, we got in, and I was enormously proud to have completed that. I was enormously proud of everyone around the tent, and I was enormously proud of the level of team cohesion that we had created, that we were working for one another, we were working as a team, because genuinely none of us knew each other. 5 days ago, none of us knew each other from Adam. Sure, I'd connected with Brian and Scott on Instagram, but none of us knew each other, and we were absolutely digging out blind, working for one another and keeping each other safe, which again is so much of the experience of the Marathon des Sables. You then into the rest day, sort of a rest day. We crossed the line at 6:10 in the morning, which was around about 22 or 23 hours, I believe it was. There were people coming in right up until the 36-hour mark, and actually those people have so much of our respect and our appreciation, because to be out on that course in that heat for that long, to then only get 12 hours recovery and go again, is simply a Herculean feat of human resilience, robustness, perseverance, and endurance. It's incredible to see, and all of them receive a standing ovation, a round of applause when they do come into the camp. It's not about fitness or speed or anything. It's the fact you fucking kept going, and that deserves the highest appraisal, acknowledgement, and recognition, because it truly is, unlike anything else you'll see if you are ever going to do that event or other events similar to it. Throughout the rest day is actually a double-edged sword, because you get time off feet and you want to relax and you want to recuperate, but the temperature in the shade under our tents was touching 40 degrees. So you couldn't actually relax that much. A, because you were sweating your fucking back out, and B, because you had to keep hydrating. And there were cases of people coming down with heat exhaustion, heat sickness, because they were falling asleep all day, as we all were, and then not hydrating, not taking the salt tablets, and they were getting very unwell as a result of that. But nevertheless, it's fantastic to see what the human body and the human mind is truly capable of, because when I, and I know a couple of others in my tent felt the same way as well, came into our tent and sort of collapsed and fucking took our kit off, got some food in and fell asleep, I did not think I was going to be able to do it. At that point, when I was to get up and walk, it would literally take you 10 minutes to walk 800 meters. Your feet were so swollen and so blistered, and you were in so much pain and so much fatigue and exhaustion. The human mind is saying there is no fucking possible way you can run a marathon in less than 24 hours, because the human mind wants to create certainty. It wants to create familiarity. And even if you quit, at least that's familiar, at least it's certain, at least there's an end to the suffering and there's an end to the pain. The human mind is constantly trying to project what it is it thinks it has from an energetic perspective, what resources it has available to do the task. And because you've never pushed like that, it's only work on the information it already has. So it's simply a case of finding a way to create equanimity, to turn the mind off, to zoom out and say, well, if I can just get myself to the start line, then we'll see what happens. And lo and behold, a day of eating. And when we say eating, if I was to be at home after a feat like that, I'd be banging all sorts of protein shakes, carbohydrate powders, fucking pizzas, you name it, to really get as many calories into me as feasibly possible. All you have on the event is your ration of water and the food that you pack to take with you, and you've had to carry it the whole way. So you get a couple of thousand calories, and that is you done, and you've got to do with what you have. Now, I'm quite fortunate in that the packing decisions I made and nutritional strategies and the approach that I had did a really, really good job. While other people who were pushing to be faster as a result and needed to carry less load, they had less food. So whenever you find yourself complaining or bitching or moaning about the suffering you're experiencing, it was always refreshing to zoom out and say, well, that person's actually still pushing, and that person had less food than I am, so I'm sure that I can do it. And then it was a simple case of, if you can put yourself on that start line on day 5, you will get around. But day 5 was, again, I think the hottest day we'd had. It was brutal, and it was, again, a full marathon. But knowing that at the end of that stage, you're going to get the medal, you have done it, is exponentially powerful and motivating. And once again, Tent 78 spent pretty much the entire day together, and I can't speak to how motivating that was, because you're almost getting a bit of nostalgia at that point about what it is you've done, what you've achieved throughout the week. And if you can just finish this day, you have broken the back of it and you are finished, all but for the next day, which is a charity stage of 9 kilometers. And what they don't tell you is that last day of 9 kilometers, well, it's between 7 and 9 depending on the year, is a fucking bastard. It's fucking horrendous. It was up and down over sand dunes. It was a real fucking it really did fucking catch you out. Like, it really came out of left field and caught us out. But ultimately, we were all fortunate enough to get there, to complete it, to do it. Now, we had some inside information from the year before, which was, when you get there, don't get on the buses, get on the taxis. And I'm not actually sure if I'm supposed to be sharing this information, but there were a load of locals there who were happy to taxi us to the eventual destination, which was the hotel, in exchange for obviously a bit of money. Now, one of the things that's mandated as essential kit on the Marathon des Sables is €200. And that's if you should need to organize transport for yourself because you've come off the event early, or if you're fined for not having equipment or a time penalty or something like that. And we all still had all of our money. So clubbed together, got ourselves a taxi. And that was, I can only describe, one of the most emotional taxi rides of our entire lives. But fortunately, he was good enough to stop off at multiple petrol stations, whereby we were quite literally like fat kids in a sweet shop, getting amongst the refrigerated chocolate, fucking fizzy drinks and all the stuff that we'd not had for a week. Now, I could go on and I could talk about the experiences in the hotel afterwards where I got diarrhea and vomiting, so on and so forth. But ultimately, that is the Marathon des Sables in a nutshell. That is actually what happens from day one to finish line when you go on the event. And there's so much to be learned from it, so much to be taken away from it. But as overarching high contour concepts, what I would love for everyone to take away is that you learn so much about yourself. You grow so much as a human, grow so much as an individual, as a leader, when you put yourself in situations, maybe not just like that, but really hard situations where you're not sure if you're actually going to be able to do it, and then finding a way. What was beautiful about the event is there's no phone signal. They deliberately cultivate that on the environment. So there's no Instagram, there's no signal, there's no messaging home or anything like that. So it's true, authentic human connection. You are so depleted and exhausted, you don't give a fuck what you look like. You don't care who's got what job. You don't care where somebody lives or what car they drive or any of those things. You are being true, authentic, organic humans in that moment. And that is truly special. And that's why I believe people go back to the Marathon des Sables and other similar events year upon year upon year upon year. It's not because they're a glutton for punishment, or they might be. It's actually one of those when you step away from the environment and you get over the essential trauma of what just happened, you realize how fortunate you were to be in an environment where there were no distractions, where the only thing you had every day was a set of emails coming in from loved ones and friends and families, and from many of the clients at the Hard to Kill program who emailed me with kind and loving and supportive and encouraging and sometimes a little bit critical emails, all of which gives you morale and all of which makes you really realize what you have to be grateful for. It makes you so appreciative and so grounded. And it makes you realize that so many of the things that we hold in high regard or deem as successful in the modern world just don't fucking matter. The fact that we are only connected by written word over text or by Instagram, and everyone's trying to curate and cultivate an image of themselves that isn't real, is all washed away. And I've definitely found myself since that environment longing for that same level of human connection, that same level of simplicity. And that has inspired me in terms of how I turn up with my family unit and how grateful and appreciative I am for them, and no longer being, as we all can be guilty of being taking that somewhat for granted, being so truly grounded and appreciative and grateful for what you have. And also, realizing how fortunate we are to live where we are, and that we have the capacity and the luxury of going and doing events like this and sampling this, so that we may come back to life and be essentially humans that are improved. Now, we also want to hold space and take a moment for all the people who did not cross the finish line, whether it was medical withdrawal or whether it was voluntary withdrawal, or any one of a number of different reasons, because every single one of those people has my utmost respect and appreciation, because you dared to step into that fucking arena. None of us knew whether or not we would cross that finish line. I saw people who prepared the most finish the lowest. I saw people who seemingly didn't seem that prepared at all just dig in and had the real mental coping skills to get through. There were people from all walks of life and all shapes there. And ultimately, every single one of them had made the decision to put their neck on the line, to dare to be great and to go for it, despite not knowing what was waiting for them, despite not knowing what variables were there. And so many of the people who weren't able to finish or were to withdraw against their will was simply to make sure that they didn't lose their life on that course and on that event. And for that, you all trained us as hard as us. You all experienced the same heat, the same challenge, the same difficulty as us. And I know that many of you will go back and conquer it in subsequent years, but I do want to make sure that we're not elitist about those who finished and those who didn't, because every single person who dared to step into that arena truly deserves a massive pat on the back and a massive show of appreciation. And I know that if you were to go back, obviously you would be able to successfully complete what was a fucking horrendous but beautiful experience. So that is it. That is a very, very short, or hopefully relatively short, wrap up of what the Marathon des Sables is like, what it can offer you, and what the experience has given me, how it has shaped me as a human, the empathy I have for my clients, the empathy that I have for people in my life, and ultimately, I guess, the ego death that it offered me, whereby I started to realize what is truly important, what I truly hold to be dear, what success means to me, and where I want to go and what I want to do with my life for myself, for my clients, and for those around me. I hope you've enjoyed listening. I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to hear any questions, comments, or otherwise, but that's the Marathon des Sables.